Gentlemen, and welcome to the May 15th, 2024 meeting of the Daytona Beach City Commission. We're delighted to have each of you with us. At this time, we would ask Ms. LaMagna for a roll call.
Commissioner Strickland? Here. Commissioner May? Here. Commissioner Cantu?
Here.
Commissioner Henry?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Paris?
Here.
Mayor Derek L. Henry?
Here.
Okay. We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the April 17th, 2024 City Commission meeting and the May 1st, 2024 Shade Closed meeting.
So moved. Second.
A motion from Commissioner Reed. We'll take a second from Commissioner May. Do we have questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. This motion carries 7-0. This time we'll have our agenda approval. If there are any changes, our city manager will address them.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, item 8A, City Manager's Office Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund additions, $25,000 to Bethune-Cookman University Football Program from Commissioner Paula Reed, $2,000 to the Volusia Tigers, Inc. from Mayor Derek L. Henry, $1,000 to the Steep House from Mayor Derek L. Henry, $1,000 to the Steep House from Commissioner Paula R. Reed. Those are the additions to the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda with the said changes.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. We'll now move on to item number 6, which is our presentations. Item 6A is a presentation from the Conlin Davis Center for the Visually Impaired.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everyone. I think most of you know me. I'm Nancy Epps, and I am the board secretary for the Conlin Davis Center for the Visually Impaired. So we have a little presentation we want to share with you tonight. But to start with, I wanted to start with the history of how we got to where we are today. Some of you know, I know because we've been here before, that we started off in Daytona Beach as the Conlin Center for the multiply handicapped blind, which we don't use that term anymore, but that was the name that we were born with, shall we say. And what we now have is a hidden jewel in Daytona Beach that's just waiting to be cut and polished. So this is what we want to talk about tonight. So it is a one-of-a-kind agency in the United States. There isn't any place else that we have found actually in the world that does what we do with the multiply handicapped. So we're obviously very proud of that. The former Conlin Center, which I just mentioned, and the former Center for the Visually Impaired merged in 2021. Actually, January 1st, 2021, we became the Conlin Davis Center for the Visually Impaired. And the Florida Lions Conlin Center for the Multiply Handicapped was the dream of a lion named Millard Conlin and the Florida Lions. So that's why it was named the Florida Lions Conlin Center. And then the Center for the Visually Impaired was founded in 1988 by a Daytona State College, at the time it was Daytona Beach Community College, counselor named Kathy Davis. And Miss Davis is still with us, but unfortunately Mr. Conlin has gone to the great center in the sky, but we're still very proud of him. We now have a client range, since we have merged, that ranges from babies, children's, teens. We call them vocational adults because they're in training for employment, as well as senior clients. We have one client who just turned 100 a few months ago, and so we have a full range from birth to death. And we also have a large multiply disabled population, as I mentioned. We are also serving the population of 4 counties now, which we did not do as the Conlin Center. We serve everybody in the state, but we actually have a physical presence now in 4 counties. These very special clients that we serve would not be able to become independent and employed without the services that we provide. Ronnie David, our CEO, has been with the agency for 32 years, so she kind of knows what she's doing. And
I'm only 32.
Right. Me too. We now call the Conlin Davis Center for the Visually Impaired through the rest of this presentation just the center, because obviously it's kind of a mouthful. So I appreciate your indulgence for me, and you'll see me again, but I would like now to introduce Ronnie, and she'll tell you more about what we're doing these days.
Hello, and thank you so much for inviting us to speak with you this evening. I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of our initiatives that we have been working on. In addition to what Nancy stated, if you can see our PowerPoint presentation, we have very intensive programs at the center, and we have about 85 former students and current students that are living in Daytona Beach and working in their own apartments. And some of them, these are people that have a significant disability in addition to blindness. And some of them have been working at their jobs for many, many years, and we continue to provide them services for life. We visit them in their homes, maybe once a week or once a month, depending on their need, and we ensure that they're paying their bills, they're getting to their appointments on time, and things like that. We have one man who's been working at Publix for 20 years, who continues to be one of our clients. We have another that works in a mattress company, Fox Mattress, and we have about 5 working at Metro Electronics. We have students all over Daytona Beach working, and some of them, with the jobs that they have, they are able to purchase condos. We have 2 students that have purchased, not too long ago, their own condos in Daytona Beach townhouse. So we're very proud of our students, and some of our special projects that we're working on, maybe I could ask Gail and our students to come up. One of them is a grant that we applied for recently for an art therapy program for blind people, and it's quite an interesting program. And we have Gail, who is a teacher, an art teacher, and we've created an art studio at our facility. And Gail has about 7 or 8 ladies who are retired professionals who have taken up art under her direction. And they're producing the most wonderful art, and here's some photos of it. These are all art that are up in our hallways. And in addition to the art program, with our new grant that we just recently were awarded, we're going to be opening up a gift shop where the artists will be selling some of their, a lot of their gifts. And it's very, very beautiful. The work that they do is just incredible. And would you come on my other side, Angie? Okay, right over here. Okay, and we'll move you over so there's room for Nancy. And the art is really beautiful, and we're very proud of what they're doing. So as part of our program, and there's a slide of our Emma's Corner, it's called. As part of our program with the art therapy program, we have the gift shop, as I said, and in the gift shop, we're going to develop a training program, a vocational training program for our clients so that they could learn to work in the retail business, and we'll be able to find them jobs in Daytona Beach in retail, and they'll get the training at our gift shop. So Gail would like to show you, Laverne, can you? Gail would like to show you some of the art that she's produced. And they're really very beautiful. If you could just hold it up.
These are all textured, and we use different techniques for texturing the art, so that we have these in our, we have 4 galleries going down the hall, the lobby, and the blind and visually impaired can go in this one area where all of the paintings are meant to be touched. So they can, say, walk along the hall and see a lighthouse that is textured. They can't see the lighthouse, but they can feel it and get an idea what it looks like. So it's very, very wonderful work.
I'll hold this.
In the gift shop, we're so excited about that. This is just a regular painting that one of our, these are not done by the blind and visually impaired. These are, I'm a teacher of the Art League of Daytona Beach, and 7 of my students work with me. We create art that is to be touched. And these were so, I go around, they know me now at ABC Liquor. With my husband and I go in, we pick up the boxes that they have emptied. These are cigar boxes. And here are, I got these two. This
I don't
is
want these to
texture.
fall over. Okay.
Okay.
So we wanted to thank two of the commissioners for supporting our organization from their zones, and we'd like to give you a gift for Paul, for Stacy, and could you give us Paula?
No cigars in them.
Thank you. We appreciate your support of our programs at the center. And I'd like to introduce two of our students. Can you put that back in the box? I'd like to introduce two of our students at the center. This is Christian on my left, and this is Angie on my right. And can you say a few words, Christian?
Sure.
Just go forward. The microphone is right in front of you.
So I have been at the Conlin Center for almost a year now, and it's a very great place to learn about independent living skills and learning how to manage your own money and manage a budget. Because when you're first starting out, especially where I'm at now, it's not easy. So, and I actually love being there because without Ms. Ronnie's help or the staff's help, we would not be successful where we are today.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
And Christian is the president of our student council. And Angie, I'm going to move you a little bit to your left. And this is Angie, another of our students, so you can just speak. They'll be able to hear you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Angie Manjivar. I'm 28 years old, and I've been to a lot of programs, but Conlin David Center is my favorite program ever because they help us, they teach us a lot on all topics like ADL, everything like money management, technology. That's my favorite class because I love technology. And thank you for inviting us. And
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you for also helping us.
Thank you, Angie.
you're welcome.
Okay. Laverne, can you sit down? Okay, go to my left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I'd like to also introduce Laverne. Laverne has been with us and for some time, and she is our development and outreach coordinator, and she's just a gem to have at our agency. We're so happy to have her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's a pleasure working for them. They're awesome. Seriously, I just been with them a little over a year, and I've always worked with nonprofit organizations, but they by far are one of the best nonprofit organizations I ever worked for. And they, they care about their people. And I'm right with them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. So just one more thing, and I won't take up more of your time. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our program that was supported by Paula's zone and Stacy's. And we have an outdoor nature trail that's absolutely beautiful. You wouldn't even believe it. And I invite all of the commissioners to come to our center to see it. You walk through our nature paths and you think you're in a tropical forest. It's just beautiful. We have a trail that the students can walk through. And also I want to mention that when we first took over the center 2 years ago, the building, the grounds, everything was really in disrepair. And we've worked very hard to try to bring it up. And that's why we were asking the city of Daytona Beach to help us. This is our grounds, some pictures of the beautiful flowers. There's a fountain and a lake on the property. This is our deck, and the deck and walkway really needed a lot of help. And these are our greenhouses. And we want to thank the commissioners for helping us to restore those. That project is going to be underway soon to restore them. So we want to bring back the horticulture program that the center once had, where they were training students to work in that industry. And that's one of our goals. And also to help visually impaired people. We have hundreds of people that come through our program, and to help them to enjoy the outdoors in Florida. So we're hoping to rebuild the deck, classes, events outside with our students. So I want to thank you so much. And we do need more assistance and we're hoping that the city will help us. And I'm inviting all of you to please come and tour our center. We would love to talk to you and really show you what we do there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you get my check?
Yes,
Oh,
we
that's what
did.
you asked.
Yes, we did.
Okay, very good.
Wait, did we get it?
I have no idea.
We
The
got
last I-
one, but we didn't get the second
I
one.
don't
We got
think
the
we got-
one from Stacy, but
You didn't
we-
get mine.
We didn't get that yet.
No.
All right. All right, I wanted to present the big check to you tonight, but I guess somebody didn't return it. But I have met your request for the park, and I shared with my colleagues how beautiful that park was and to bring it back to life.
Thank
So my
you.
gift to you is $25,000.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it so much. Thank you, Paula. We really appreciate it.
I'm happy
Thank
to
you all.
deliver that big check back to y'all. It's still at the
Is it still there? I thought
It's still there.
I thought someone was supposed to pick that up.
No, it wasn't picked up yet.
Well, I think I'm going to be there tomorrow afternoon. So
Oh, terrific.
Oh,
You coming?
great.
yeah, I don't have the hat yet.
Okay, well, you better get a crazy hat. You have a crazy hat day.
We have a luncheon tomorrow at 11:30, so if anybody wants to come, please join us, 405 White Street. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to item number 7. This is citizen comments. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item on the consent agenda. And I have one speaker, Ms. Ann Ruby.
137 Park Avenue. I am very excited to see grant funding for doing a mobile app for the Black Heritage Trail. It's desperately needed. Thank you, Commissioner May, for driving that forward. I'm hoping that there will be videos of older parishioners and their memories of the churches, because I think that would make them more meaningful. But I think this is a really exciting thing that's happening. So thank you.
And I did have one additional speaker who's waiting at the door, I believe. Mr. Nicholson. Mr. John Nicholson, you can come on. Thank you.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. Section A, C, D, I, E, and G. A is the donation to Beachside Elementary School. It doesn't say what it's for. Several months ago, I asked for a list of what monies have been distributed. There's $6 million. Who got what, when, and where. And on several of them, it just says a name. And we don't know whether it's your brother, your sister, your cousin, your relative, whoever. So giving just a minor thing like that, it does lead people to question it. C, at the county, there are several cities that refuse to pay for police officers for their schools, and they wanted the county to pay for it. Are we how much of this are we paying? Are we paying 50-50 with the county, with the school board? Are we taking all of it? I definitely don't want us to pay and have Daytona and the land not pay their fair share. The police station on Nova, be a great location for affordable housing. As you know, we have several lots, some on Nova, but also several where the parking used to be to the south. I think that there are all kinds of housing that could go in that location. The ballpark, the seating, is that part of the $30 million? Because I don't want to mix and match. So have we settled on what we're doing with the $30 million improvement for the ballpark? And is this part of it? Or is this separate and it's going to be torn out and redid when we did the $30 million? You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to redo something and waste money. And lastly, the tennis center, we're redoing the awnings, but we have a marina, and the awnings at the marina are the pits. There are 7 of them. We replaced 1. I don't know if it's just mildew, if we can pressure clean them and clean it up, but they're the blue awnings that at the beginning of each of the docks. So one of them looks nice, the rest of them look like the pits. So the one that was torn and shredded has been replaced. The others, they're fine, but they're black rather than blue. So if we're going to do this for the, okay, thank you.
All right.
That was my final speaker for the consent agenda.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have a motion, Commissioner Reed, and a second from Commissioner May. Do we have any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? I hear none. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Okay. We're going to move on to item number 9, which is our public hearings and quasi-judicial hearings. Item 9A is Growth Management Planning Department, UHaul Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading public hearing. An ordinance adopting a small scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with section 163.3187 Florida statutes, amending the future land use map designation of 4.6 plus or minus acres of property generally located at the northwest corner of West International Speedway Boulevard and North Lincoln Street from school to mixed use medium intensity, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner May.
And I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions, and no other speakers.
No questions for Mr. Merrill? Okay. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Okay, moving on to item 9B, it's a Growth Management Planning Department, UHaul, Plan Development, Redevelopment. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 4.6 plus or minus acres of property generally located at the northwest corner of West International Speedway Boulevard and North Lincoln Street from RDM4, Redevelopment Midtown University Transition, to PDRD, Plan Development Redevelopment, approving the UHaul Daytona Plan Redevelopment District Agreement to authorize self-storage and propane tank filling station as ancillary uses to the existing primary use, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner May.
I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions, and no other speakers.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions for Mr. Merrill? No questions for Mr. Merrill. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. This motion likewise carries 7-0.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't have any questions, but I wanted to say I look forward to the look that this is going to have. I had a conversation with Mr. O'Brien, and they're going to have some panels, historical panels along this fence that are going to mirror the great Bethune-Cookman University. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 9C, it's a Growth Management and Planning Department amended and restated Daytona Center Plan Development Redevelopment. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 7.7 plus or minus acres of property located at 1008 West International Speedway Boulevard from PDG Plan Development General to PDRD Plan Development Redevelopment, approving the amended and restated Daytona Center Plan District Agreement to incorporate the property rezoned above into the existing plan district and allow additional uses, landscaping, and parking, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Ooh, so moved.
Second.
All right.
This is a long time coming.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions, and no other speakers.
All right, do we have any questions or comments from the commission? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
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 Those who are opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Moving on to item 9D, it's the Growth Management Planning Department Second Amendment to the LBJ Superwash Express 3, PD rezoning. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance approving the Second Amendment to the LPGA Super Wash Express 3 Plan District Agreement to allow a liquor or package store on Lot 2 of the Plan District, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute the Second Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So move.
We have a motion, we have a second. Motion from Commissioner Cantu, second from Commissioner May. Do we have any questions or comments?
I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions and no additional speakers.
All right, no questions for Mr. Merrill. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. You're welcome.
Moving on to item 9E, it's the Growth Management Planning Department Redevelopment Board Approval Requirements Land Development Code Text Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading public hearing. An ordinance amending Article 2 and Article 3 of the Land Development Code to modify procedures for redevelopment board application review prior to planning board review under certain circumstances, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? Speakers?
I have no one signed up to speak on this item, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We have a motion, we have a second. No questions. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Going to move on to item 9F. It is the Growth Management and Planning Department, Third Amendment to Memorial Health System, PD rezoning. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance approving the Third Amendment to the Memorial Health Systems, Inc. Plan District Agreement to remove limitations on the maximum number of permitted hospital beds in the planned development property, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the Third Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any speakers?
I have no one signed up to speak for this item, Mr. Mayor. Okay.
Are you all excited about this? I see you got some, some important people here, so I guess you must be excited about it. We're excited about anything that you're excited about, because we know that if you're excited about it, then it's going to make the community better. So we appreciate you guys and what you're doing. Do we have any questions or comments? Do you all want to say anything about this? Nothing needs to be said? Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say I'm sorry. Thank you for the service that you provide our community. Thank you.
Moving on to item 9G, it's the Growth Management Planning Department, United Presbyterian Church, Semi-Public Use Permit. This is a resolution, quasi-judicial hearing. A resolution approving a semi-public use permit to provide counseling services in Building 2 of the United Presbyterian Church, located at 730 Bevel Road, repealing all resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I have no speakers
There are
signed
no
up for this
speakers?
item.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Going to move on to item 10, which is our introduction of ordinances. Item 10A is the Police Department Amendment to Municipal Ordinance Chapter 14, Animal Control. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance creating Section 21 of the City Code of Ordinances to prohibit the feeding of pigeons when such feedings create a public nuisance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing when this ordinance shall take effect. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item?
So for 6 years, this has come before us. Emails, texts, pictures, sent numerous emails to the city, forwarded numerous comments between us. And now it's as simple as just amending an ordinance or creating one. Why couldn't we have done this 6 years ago? When this all started, with the communication back and forth, and I've got email trails, heading for God knows how long, I would always, why is it suddenly now happening just like that? I mean, I think it's fantastic. I'm glad it's happening, but what took so long?
I'm not sure I understand the 6-year part.
6-year part is that this has been an ongoing
Yeah, so
concern.
we're talking about an ordinance that prohibits nuisance feeding
Yeah, no.
of pigeons?
Yeah, I know. So for
I
6 years, I've been sitting in commission meetings. I understand that. But the other staff members have been around for 6 years. So.
Yeah, it was the first I'd heard about it. There's an ordinance that we adopted that would require nuisance feeding of pigeons to be prohibited.
Right. I think it's a fantastic ordinance, but the fact that it could happen, I appreciate you doing it.
Sure.
Obviously, because when Jaga was here, we would have weekly meetings about this, to the point where it was just an ongoing situation. I think they just discarded it, but I'm grateful for the fact that it's actually being done now. But what appalls me is that it took 6 years, and yet it can happen that quickly to get to this place. So thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. I think my irritation is the fact that for 6 years I've been bringing it up. For 6 years I've been sending emails that are in my email stream with the city, that I just think it's insane that with slightly different leadership, it happens like that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that there was,
Oh,
I wasn't
yeah.
aware there was a problem
Oh,
previously with
yes, there was.
nuisance feeding of pigeons.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Mr. George, for all the years of communication. I appreciate it.
Are there any other questions or comments from the commission? Okay, so the public hearing and final action on this item is June 5th. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 11, which is our administrative items. Item 11A is Utilities Department Core and Main Census Meters. This is a resolution approving the purchase of census water meters and related equipment from Core and Main LP as a sole source provider in the amount not to exceed $1,350,000 for fiscal year 23-24 on an as-needed basis and providing an effective date. Okay.
Motion from Commissioner May. Second. Second from Commissioner Strickland. May and Strickland in that order are the motions. Do we have any questions or comments?
And I've had no one sign up.
All right, no one signs up. It costs $1,350,000. We have to remember that infrastructure and the cost of these things, how much they cost. Not that I'm upset that no one signed up. I just want us to always remember that these are the nuts and bolts of what makes the city function on a high level. We have any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, that was our last agenda item. We can move on to item number 12, which is comments and inquiries from the City Commission.
We start tonight, I believe it was with Commissioner May.
Or Strickland, I think it starts.
Oh, that's right, that's CRA, May.
2 or 3 things here tonight. I have citizens that are advocating strongly for an overlay in the Seabreeze district. Would it be possible to have staff do an evaluation of what it would take to do that, what the benefits are, what the drawbacks are, and could we get something maybe by next meeting or the next 2 meetings in writing as to the possibilities of that? No response.
Can someone speak to an overlay, what that means? Okay.
Yeah, just to say, staff has been looking at certain things. I know Mr. Gross and the police chief have actually been evaluating other areas. So what they've been talking about, I'll make sure that we put something together, discussion points that we can bring back to the elected body about type of overlay district, special things. I know that Mr. Gross and the chief, they looked at things that take place in the city of Orlando for a special entertainment district. So we'll bring something back that looks into that and not just talk off the cuff. But I'll make sure that staff meets and put something in writing on what we've been talking about or what they've talked about in the past.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
All right.
Temporary lighting on the side streets that go off of Seabreeze to the north and to the south that are dark, where there's sometimes congregating in the shadows and that sort of thing. would it be possible for us to provide that? What would be the expense? What would we have to do to get that done? And is it possible to do it?
Which neighborhoods are you referring?
I'm talking about the side streets to the north and south off of Seabreeze.
So temporary lighting, meaning additional lighting like.
Well, temporary lighting like we put up, out around the racetrack for parking and people walking and that sort of thing.
Floodlights, maybe? Floodlights? Like floodlights or something?
Is that possible? They're advocating for that as well.
It seems like an intrusion on a neighborhood when you just
It could be.
bring in
It could
lights,
be.
but it's not my role to. Mr. Waller, can you come up here?
Creeping out.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm thinking. I don't want any floodlights on my street.
Neither do I.
Go to sleep.
Good evening. I know there was a couple areas that PD a couple years ago had done some temporary lighting for during some special event periods. But we do have working with FP&L to do some lighting improvements, one block north and south of Seabreeze, and primarily a commercial district. There's no residential areas there, and it is the parking lot areas where the folks who frequent the businesses in the evening on Seabreeze go back to park and sometimes gather, post being out or pre-going out. We've got a meeting Monday with FP&L for a host of projects that's on the list. And we hope to bring that forward to you guys here in the next few meetings. That's a little over $25,000 to make that shift on those light fixtures, staying away from the residential areas because it is very polarizing choices when you do lighting in residential areas. But I don't think we'll have issues in those two blocks because of the uses that are there is primarily all commercial.
All right, now we're talking. Now I understand. You're not talking about lighting up someone's house. You're talking about lighting up a parking lot, lighting up an area.
It is,
where
yes, not in,
Seabreeze problems tend to overspill into these areas. So you have my support to light them up.
This is chasing feedback from PD, and it's the rear flat lots behind the Seabreeze businesses where they asked the congregation that they'd like to have a little more light on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bomb them with lights, bomb them with cameras, whatever it takes to make it, supportive, and so that area then doesn't seep over into the neighborhood. So if you take care of the neighborhood, the area that's commercial with lots of lights, lots of camera, lots of police, then they can't intrude on the neighborhood. So I'm 100% with you. Yes, sir.
All right. Let's talk about George's shirt. Those hang in windows along Main Street.
Hold it. George, did you buy that on Main Street?
I bought that today just for this meeting.
Oh, George, you should have went online and bought it. Why'd you give them your business?
Throughout the whole meeting, to tell you the truth.
But you gave
I
them.
have a spare shirt.
But you gave them your business down there. That's the thing we don't want. But okay, go ahead.
Anyway, back to the shirt. First Amendment says he can wear that. I'm a big First Amendment guy, but I am not a big First Amendment guy. When kids can see that, when they're hanging in the windows of shops, when there's adult toys that can be seen through the front door, they have the right to have those in there. However, they don't have the right to make them where families and children can walk by and see them. I would request that, and we've had a talk before, so I'm not ambushing the city attorney. Maybe we could come up with some type of ordinance that says it's fine if you sell that, we don't have a problem with it. But I think, from my experience with First Amendment stuff, that it should be behind closed doors, windows that are blacked out, and if people that go into those stores where those items are displayed need to be 18 years old.
Well, this came up at a recent meeting, Commissioner, and as I mentioned to the commission, we're researching the issue.
Right.
It's
I'm
a
aware of
complicated
that.
issue. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons why we're spending so much time researching this issue, and this does remind me of questions that Commissioner May had asked our office previously. We have repeatedly addressed questions regarding things like sex toys in windows, and they're very difficult to regulate. They're very challenging to regulate. T-shirts even more so because of First Amendment protection. So we are combing the cases to try to find a basis to provide for regulation with some better assurance that we wouldn't have a lot of liability for violating First Amendment rights and Section 1983.
Let me ask you a question. The stores over on Ridgewood that provide the same sort of items for sale, if you drive over by there, or walk by there, you can't see in those stores.
Right.
And I think they have an age limit written on their door as to who, how old you got to be to come in there.
So we have existing regulations of what are referred to as adult bookstores, which are stores that have a substantial part of their stock in trade with adult materials. And that's a factual determination when there's a suggestion like something like this is going on at a store like the one complained of. Code enforcement goes out there. In fact, I think code enforcement did go out to this store, and they were unable to determine that this store had the kind of content that would make it an adult bookstore under our definition of adult bookstores in the Land Development Code.
So we're working on that.
We are working on
Thank you,
trying
sir.
to implement what the commission
We
wants.
appreciate it very much, because that's right there at Ocean Avenue and Main Street, the boardwalk. Our tourists and their children shouldn't have to see that. So, thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
All right. Good job, sir. Commissioner May?
So if you recall, yet again, a few years back, we had a conversation. And the conversation was similar to this, but it was about a store that was commented upon in the mall that was displaying paraphernalia, T-shirts, etc. The research was done, and, well, it was discarded. So I'm going to say it again because I can't help myself. A few years ago, brought up vaping, and I was told that nothing we can do about it. About 6 months later, federal law came out discussing how detrimental vaping was to young people. But this was already happening locally, and I brought it up, and yet again, it was brushed aside. So I'm not quite sure how to address that. I recognize that times change and matters intensify, but there are often times when we're ahead of it and we're doing research, and we're recognizing where certain things can lead. So it's I keep track of these things when I bring things forward, and then a few months later, suddenly it's happening, but 6 months, 1 year, it could have been done so much sooner instead of waiting, that's all. So with regard to, I appreciate what you said, Mr. Mayor, about the whole, each area has different needs. So to that end, there are a couple of cities right now in California. There are some places across the country, Orlando specifically, it's closer to home, where they have ambassador programs, and yet again, it's not a new program. We had discussed ambassador programs long back when Kelly White was here. She may even have had one at one time. She was trying to start one. But it was the same concept. Keep an eye on the community, kind of walk around, greet people, instead of making it so much of a, we have a problem, we have a police force that we have a problem for. Some areas may require that, I agree with you, and some areas may require an ambassador program, more of a welcoming program. So I would love to send you some links of other cities that are doing it in different ways. They're getting the same job done. They're addressing, break-ins, or they have, they can contact the police. They're on foot. They're on bicycles, etc. So I'd be happy to send that email to Ms. Letitia, and then she can forward it on as well. But these programs do exist, and if we wanted to, we could borrow little parts of it and kind of craft our own, right? So today I went to the Who is Jay event that took place at the Ocean Center. Quite a few therapists were there, different people involved in mental health were there. Huge, huge need for suicide prevention. And the number of people who consider suicide and don't act on it, but then continue to function every day, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And there are people, right here who maybe one day they're here and the next day they're not, and they leave behind people who wonder, why couldn't we have said something or noticed something? So SMA, and I'm on their board, Stuart Marchman, they are doing a great job of working in the community. They have lots of interventions and programs that we could go to as the community, and we could take some of their free programming. And they're also opening another center in DeLand. So they are definitely addressing the need. So it was a fantastic program. And it's called Who is Jay? They have it every single year, and they deal with multiple conditions at once. So possibly mental health along with drug addiction, the comorbidities that exist. So thank you so much. It was a fantastic program. Thank you.
Commissioner Cantu?
Yes, I have quite a few.
All right.
I didn't say anything last time. Okay, first of all, Commissioner Henry and I did a Mother's Day contest, so I would like to say congratulations to all of our winners. I don't have the names in front of me, but staff will be calling them. Another thing is, I think it was last week, I would like to say thank you to David Waller and his staff. We have 2 veterans parking spaces in front of the Peabody, and absolutely gorgeous, better than what I expected. I was very surprised, and Commissioner Strickland showed up as well. Jim Morris was there. I would also like to give out a shout to our Sheriff Chitwood. You know, we had a fire recently off Williamson near Pelican Bay, and it had to do with 2 homeless camps. And so we've been having a lot of homeless encampments over on the county property. Well, we did have one in city property, and Denzel did a wonderful job clearing that out, but we still had a problem, and I know Cyrus at the airport has been working on it. But I actually called Chitwood. He's amazing. Those encampments are gone, and he's been keeping up on it too. So I just want to give a big shout out to him. Flag Day, we are going to be giving out 3x5 flags and 4 p.m. Why they last. So, and we will also take in any flags anyone has that want to discard, and we will discard them properly with the military, the Purple Heart. What else do I have? The band shell that we do every year for Veterans of the Year on June 1st. With Friends of the Band Shell, Senator Wright, Commissioner Henry. We will be honoring 8 veterans over there. We do have a guest that will be attending, Major General James Hartzell, Executive Director of Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, Terry Burchell, Quilts of Valor Foundation, and one of our veterans is going to be former Larry Kelly, who was actually in the Air Force, and it will be his 89th birthday as well. And I know you're showing up too, correct, Mayor? So I will see you there. What else did I have? Okay. Also, I wanted to talk about a little bit about, I knew we have routine audits, but actually I was very surprised to find out that we had a specifically permit and licensing had an audit going on, and I did not know the whole time I've been up here till I started actually digging around with this command mobile and found out we have a lot of money in there. And I feel like that we should have knew when we were approving projects of everything that was going on and that we needed to spend this money. So I would just like to have more communication next time. And Feature, I'm asking you a question as well, because Friday I requested the amounts that have to be spent. And I know our city attorney was there, Jim Morris was there. I requested the amounts that have to be spent this year, next year, the year after, which I didn't receive them on Monday like I was told. So I requested again on Monday. I still haven't received it. I texted you yesterday for a reminder. I still haven't received them. So I would like to have those before the workshop so I can actually look at it, if you don't mind.
All of the commissioners will receive all of the information as I had communicated. Natalia and her team are going through all of the items to provide that at a workshop that I will ask you all for the dates. And I did communicate that back to you.
Okay.
Also, the audit, all of the audit letters and findings have been online in all of our CAFRs and our budget books for the past since 2019.
Well, as the manager, when this stuff was coming before us, because I can tell you, a lot of my residents didn't know, and I've been setting up here and didn't know we were in an audit. So I'm not blaming you, but I believe I want better communication, and I'm still requesting those figures on there. So, and I heard what you said, but I do have another thing I want to, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, I just want to get to the bottom of this. When I started doing my homework on this, I started remembering on the April 3rd agenda, there was something about permit and licensing. So I went back to the consent agenda on April 3rd, and this has nothing related to the audit, but it was the resolution, amending the resolution for 2023 and 2024 budget in order to carry forward. And, you know, if anybody sees our agenda books, they're huge. We kind of have to glance over some things that we think are just a normal routine. But as I was going through this, I was actually very surprised to see something, and I really would like you to explain this to me because I'm not sure what this is all about. It's 174, and if anybody wants copies, I can send you give you copies of it tonight. It says New City Hall, $235,851. Since I've been up here, I know we haven't approved no City Hall at all. Please explain what this is.
I can't explain that to you without knowing what you're reading.
Okay, I'm going to send it right over to you. Page 6. Can you pass that
Phil's
down,
not going to
please?
afford me the opportunity to review it and be able to make a.
But it says actually New City Hall. We have not approved any New City Hall.
Okay.
And I can pass it down to everyone. And here's a copy. It's on page 6. And my other question was, and this is my last one, and I'm just asking because I wanted clarification. My last one says on page 6, CM project. I'm not sure what CM means, but I would think city manager. And it says $617,292. And I would like that explained as well. You don't know what a new city hall, because I went back and looked at my budget and I didn't see anything that said new city hall. And I don't remember.
We haven't voted on a new city hall. There was a conversation regarding it, and
Correct.
the media got a hold of that conversation, and they publicized it as if we had, but we have not.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find out.
This
There
is an
is-
internal communication where they
Correct.
were apparently discussing one, and Fred's going to address it because he's on here as the staff contact.
Thank you.
Budget Officer, I'd like to apologize. When you started talking about it, I ran from my office here, so I don't know the specific questions. So could you, I know there are 3 of them, so I don't know which of the specific questions you're
It's
asking.
right here. On page 6, new city hall.
Okay, that was question number 3. You had 1 and 2. You said this is the 3rd question.
No, this is my first question.
Okay,
I'm curious.
Okay, the new city hall,
$235,851 that was transferred, but I don't understand why money was budgeted for new city hall.
in the impact fee funds, generally, it is very dangerous to not budget projects because developers can ask for the money back. During the previous city manager, we had a big meeting and set up projects. And one of the projects was to do a new city hall. Knowing we can't spend any of that money until there's a plan and all this, there were discussions, if you remember, this is a while ago, putting out on Bay Street, I think it was, when there's this whole other
That's
project.
right before-
And the project was set up. We're just putting more money in there because the other option would be to put it into reserves, which is not a good thing for impact fees if you can have a project to put the money in there. There are no plans at this point until you all have a conceptual plan that you actually want to do, then we'd be spending money for design, stuff like that, but none of it would be spent
But Fred,
until.
I don't understand why we would have a budget line that says new city hall. I know you said Chisholm actually did this.
And it
I'm
was
not
approved,
sure
but,
if
and
anyone up here
the
approved
initial,
that,
and the
but
initial
when I
plan many
watched-
years ago.
Okay, when
were-
I watched the meeting, no one up here approved a city hall
No.
when Chisholm was here
No.
either. So,
And the workshop downstairs.
so the new city hall funding was never approved by the commissioner mayor. That's what I'm asking.
There was a workshop and it was approved conceptually, and money's just been stashed there. That's
And
all.
can you give me the date on that and the year? Would you have that?
Not off the top of my head.
But there
Like
was a
four- like
workshop on, workshop
we were-
regarding City Hall.
No, there was a workshop discussing all of the impact fee funds and setting up projects for all of them.
And so the commission and mayor before me approved the City Hall.
Conceptually, just for budgeting purposes, there was no approval to actually spend any of that money.
Okay.
And none of it has been spent.
Okay. And then have we actually put any more money in there since that workshop?
Generally, yes. As the impact fee funds, we put the money in every quarter. You'll have noticed the same thing in the first quarter. As more money comes into the impact fee funds, we put it there just as a holding cell.
Okay, because I think we need to have a workshop and talk about money going into City Hall and a funding with a new City Hall. Now, CM project, could you tell me?
CM is city manager. Basically, there's a couple.
And that was Chisholm as well.
It's actually a little more complicated than that.
Okay, let's hear.
Capital project funds generally have no reserves. When a project is closed, at the end of the year, which is what this represents, there's been interest in the fund, the extra money goes into CM project. CM project is equivalent to reserves, and when a project comes in and it's going to be over budget and they need to fund the extra part, they take the money out of the CM project, and again, they don't spend that money into another existing project because it's actually got, we thought it's $100,000 and the final bill and all that's
Okay.
$110,000. So that's just, it's equivalent to reserves.
Okay, let me get this clear. So if there's a project that's overfunded and you need more money, you go into this fund, grab this money to help fund that project, and it doesn't matter what department it is.
It matters what fund it's in. It matters what fund
but
it's in.
you're telling me.
Yes. And it goes through the normal process of all budget
I've
changes.
done bookkeeping in my own
Yes.
business, so that's what I'm trying to find
Yes.
out. So, this money that is CM project.
Yes.
Okay, let's say we had this project, okay, and we overspent. So we go back, I'm just trying to.
Not overspent, but we're going to overspend.
Overspent, I'm just trying to understand, and it doesn't matter what area it is. We can go back to this CM project and take money and put it in there without coming before the commission, because I do see where money is coming out for different projects. So the manager has authority, or you or whoever has authority to go grab this money and put it in without coming.
Not me, the
Okay.
manager, yes.
The manager, without coming before us.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's earmarked or allocated for these projects that have not taken place. It's kind of reserved until they take place.
Until what, and we don't know in advance what project will need this extra money.
Okay.
And it's usually
But I
from,
thought he had a certain limit.
not,
That's what I'm trying to.
yeah,
Okay.
the limit he has to do with the whole purchasing process.
Okay.
Contracts have to go to you.
If I can clarify, we're talking about two different things. One is inter-fund transfers.
He can't do
Which
that.
can be done at a staff level versus external fund transfers, which require commission. Explain that first.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
budgeting
First of all,
process.
we cannot transfer money from fund to fund. Only you can do that.
I said intra, meaning.
Correct.
Yes. Within a fund, the city manager has a great deal of authority to move existing money around. We can't increase revenues without going to you, which is why you've got this, because the money that's rolling forward is additional money in the new year budget, so it comes to you for approval.
Okay.
But within the fund, he can. The CM project that you were talking about is in the,
It's 617,292.
trying to remember, the fund is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
It was within the, I remember it being a water and sewer fund, was it?
Well, Fred, while
But
you're.
anyway, that money can only be spent on projects within that fund, and the fund has limitations on what it can be used for.
If I can, that is separate from the issue of actually stroking a check. So the purchasing code requires that expenditures above a certain amount are approved by the commission.
Yes.
And in order to bring those to the commission for approval, there has to be sufficiency of funds,
Yes.
saying that there's money
Budgeted.
Budgeted.
Yes.
And if there's not money budgeted at that time, you need a budget amendment as
I'd
well.
get a transfer over.
Right.
Or
The
I'd
commission
get a
still-
transfer.
The commission still has to approve expenditures
Oh,
that
yes.
exceed the manager's
Yes.
authority.
None of this says that purchasing or us have a blank check to do things with the money, unless it's really small.
And I think
Okay, and the new city hall, instead of budgeting money in the new city hall, I would like to see our roads. I mean, I
We
like to
can't.
see more.
The
That's
general.
why I'm asking.
This is a
the-
general government
Government,
impact
okay,
fee.
gotcha.
The
Which can
general
only be
government-
used for government buildings.
Correct.
And generally growth-related also. It can't just be used to replace something it can't be used for replacement. It has to be used for
Okay.
something growth. It's
Okay,
got to be additional
I get what you're
capabilities,
saying,
things
but
like
I
that.
think we need to change the name, New City Hall, for transparency for our residents and when they're looking at this, because just like me, I looked at it and I'm like, New City Hall.
I think the point that may have been missed, but I think Fred was clear on it, is that under the impact fee statute, it's important that as you accrue impact fees, that you have proposed specific uses or projects for those impact fees.
Yes, that is the most important.
And that if you don't have that, then you have to return the impact fees, which is weird because you can't spend the impact fees until you've got enough money to actually build something. So they, by nature, have to accrue over a period of time.
Right.
Right.
And for example, this is that quarter's revenue, on the impact fee fund specifically, where there's revenue, that's that quarter's revenue, which we're collecting every quarter a certain amount of money. And if you put it in reserves, which some of them do, there is the danger that we can run into if we don't actually create
So
projects.
actually, how much money do we have in that? Is this the correct amount?
That is that quarter's addition.
Okay.
We have in the neighborhood, and I don't remember the exact number because I don't, approximately $10 million in the general government impact fee fund in that project.
Okay. And the CM project?
The CM project, I think that was pretty much it in there. I think, I'm pretty sure the CM project is really a holding from other projects in general. And in this case, it's mostly interest accumulated the previous year. And it goes there because there is no reserves in that fund. There is no reserve account in that fund, just project accounts. And the CM project is equivalent to reserves in capital project funds.
Okay. Thank you. You cleared that up. Future, I would like to have a personal meeting and with Fred, if you don't mind, because I like to go over our budget and learn all this.
I will,
what he's telling me.
I've had a commissioner in with me earlier today. I will warn you that I have crappy chairs, but I'm happy to have you over at any time you want.
Okay, I appreciate it.
we'll make sure to coordinate with our new CFO, the county coordinator.
Okay, and I want those figures too, please.
I will make sure that not only you get them, but all of the commissioners, but it'll also be made available prior to the workshop for the citizens as well.
Okay, and when do you think we will have that workshop?
I'm going to bring it up during my discussion to get the
Okay.
commissioners.
Thank you.
And I don't want to change the name. I think we need a new city hall. So setting funds aside to anticipate doing that in the future, I want the name to stay the same. That's just my opinion.
And that particular, we did discuss that downstairs in a meeting prior to quite a few of you maybe being on the commission, and we did instruct the city manager at that time to start planning for that and putting money away for that. It may have been prior to some of you that were on this commission, but it did happen. It happened.
No one's saying it didn't happen, but I was not up here to the end of 2020. And if I'm looking at a budget and I'm seeing something like that, I think I have every right to ask questions. And if my constituents are asking me the same questions, I should ask the questions.
You absolutely should.
Right.
I don't think it was ever a question of whether or not you should or should not have the
Right.
right to ask a question. Everyone has a right to ask a question up here, and everyone has a right to get answers from said questions. We all have to keep in mind that government started before we got up here, and so there are going to
Absolutely.
be quite a few projects that happened prior to us being up here, and that's just one of the projects that was approved prior to some of the people being up here, and that's all I'm stating.
Correct.
Nothing against you or nothing against the city manager, but I was here when we discussed wanting a new city hall and instructing the city manager to move towards that.
And actually, and I could bring that article up, because I was elected, that I actually started, I think, the last commission meeting in November 2020. And I remember reading all that and watching that meeting when Chisholm brought a new city hall in front of there, and there was like a big thing going on. And I think all of you guys were saying no at the time, and I could bring that article back. But it doesn't matter anyway. It's just something that I know I haven't been up here and approved a new city hall, and I think the residents, we owe the residents an explanation why it says new city hall.
Because we're planning to do it.
And, right, well, that might be something you want to approve, maybe not something I want to approve of my residents. But either way, it doesn't hurt to ask a question, because I was elected to represent my residents, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try to find out exactly everything. I mean, I might miss things, but when I see something that strikes me odd, I'm going to ask a question.
As you should.
Right.
I'm curious about something. So given that, we don't all occupy the seats for eternity, right? There we go, which is a good thing there. So given that, what happens when one commission decides they want to have a city hall, and let's say a few years later, a different commission decides we don't want the city hall anymore?
Whoever's in the seat at that moment, you can tell them to stop turning the dirt over.
Exactly.
So we could accrue funds in a particular account, and then a new commission could come in and they could say, hey, we're stopping that. And then what happens to those funds? They get returned to the state, or do they get reallocated for something else?
It depends on the fund.
Exactly.
So if you don't spend impact fees for their intended use, you have to return them to the party who paid you those impact fees.
But we can use it within the stipulation of that particular fund, maybe not for a building, but possibly for other things.
There's all kinds of restricted funds with all kinds of restrictions. So impact fees are one example of them. The permanent
All right.
licensing fund is another one.
Okay, great, thank you.
And it wasn't, and me asking a question, it wasn't going after anybody or anything. It's me doing my homework for my residents that elected me. I'm seeing a new city hall, and I know I haven't approved it. None of us have approved a new city hall. So I'm not going after, I'm just trying to find out an answer, and that's why I asked. I mean, just like the audit, permanent licensing, I didn't know we had that much money in there, $2.3 million. And all I'm asking is, by the state statute, I know every 4 years, we have to spend that money, and it has to be in permanent licensing. And I think that should have been a discussion already, since we've had this audit since 2021. We should have already been discussing this, and we should be directing our city manager, so our city manager can direct staff how we want to spend the money, not the other way around. I mean,
100%.
You see what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in, of course, agreement with that. Let me say this. This happened, it is correct, in a workshop downstairs where there was a discussion because the city manager at the time recognized that these are funds that are can only be spent in a certain way, and this building is old. So there was a discussion, but there was no approved plan for a city hall. The discussion essentially was that it's okay to explore the idea of a city hall. So as it is, when you tell the city manager that you can explore something, they do a lot of exploration if it's really something that they want. They go deep into it, and perhaps deeper than the commission might intend. Then city manager Chisholm went into it quite deeply, extensively. And then when you, as is the case, when you see the budget and see how much it costs, the people who are elected say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, we didn't say that. And that was never said. The plan that he had was never said, was never supported, because you see the number and then you see that the residents really don't want a city hall for $100 million. Some of us may want a city hall. I certainly would like to see those orange chairs from 1975
I agree.
gone. But once you start to seeing the cost of it, and you're the one who's really signing off on the expenditure, it's another matter. And that's really what this is all about. And I'm always in favor of commissioners challenging the staff, getting the facts out, asking the questions, and I'm 100% behind that and supportive of it. It is accurate to say that commissions run their cycle, and everything that we do and all the decisions that we make today will not be approved by the next commission. And that's even with the past. So as far as I'm concerned, good discussion. And when you sit in a city manager's seat, I don't have to defend him, but I say you get paid good money, and I've heard him say he gets paid very well. So seat's hot. Get the questions, and I'm good with it. Just like I'm good when the constituents ask me a question. Seat can get hot. I'm good with it. Commissioner Henry, did you have anything else?
Oh, no, I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I did have an example regarding that. Some of us, maybe just you and I, were on the commission that approved Orange Avenue. But we didn't start that. You may have started that when you were commissioner.
That started way before I was commissioner.
Okay.
And way before, 20 years ago before that.
So when we approved the final approval as a part of this commission, our previous mayor, Richie, thanked me. And I said, why are you thanking me? I didn't start this thing, but he said, no, but you finished it.
That's right.
So that was something that was planned way before I ever sat here. But our names were the ones that put the ink on the paper that make it come to fruition. So you're absolutely right. Some of the things that we vote on, we may never see. The next commission may never see. We're the ones that make that decision, who's sitting at the time.
Yeah. And even in that case, the case of Orange Avenue is a classic, perfect example. 20 years before that, we were talking about Orange Avenue. Well, I think that at some point in time, you're going to have to get a new city hall. So if you're talking about it now and it didn't happen for 20 more years, that's okay.
It's okay.
Got to happen some point.
Right. And I agree with that. I mean, but when I see something that I know I haven't, I'm going to ask questions. I won't know. Right. And the other thing is, if I didn't know about this money that needs to be spent, I mean, that will be audited, I think that's something the commissioners should know what's going on. And we should be making that decision and talking about it. But all those projects that we're going to be approving, it's not even in the backup.
Yeah,
It's got to come to us for approval.
Okay, wait a minute. The Command Mobile was coming before us for approval. Okay, but the backup didn't say anything why we needed to spend that $1 million. So I'm just saying, we should be talking about this audit.
I agree with that. I agree with conversation, and conversation is always important. I kind of know what's going on with that and have knew the amount when they said it, kind of know that the 10 million was there, and when all the others, I kind of know it. But I understand. I believe in discussion for a lot of reasons. Because one, if you don't have those discussions, it's like you said earlier, then the manager will be completely driving the bus, and you will just be along for the ride as the commissioners, and that should never happen.
Absolutely.
And, I'm always up here telling y'all, don't let that happen, or at least I illustrate that in some ways. So I think what you're saying is right.
And Ben, not to put you on the spot, but should commissioners know about an audit going on at a specific, department?
I think it depends on the type of audit, but certainly you could, as a commission, resolve to have the manager inform you whenever you have one of the types of audits that are going on currently by the Joint Legislative Audit Committee. You could ask for and adopt a resolution to be informed when those are first come up, and then I'm sure the manager would comply with that.
But Ben, I want to be clear.
Yeah.
On the website, in the budget book and the CAFR, before I even got here, these items were presented as part of the audit issues. I can pull it up on the city's website right now, denoting how much funds are in there. I do respect what Commissioner Cantu is saying, but I don't want anyone to think that prior to me getting here and me being here, that the reports were not provided to the elected officials. It's online right now since 2019.
It might be online, a routine audit, but it specifically never said that we had, I mean, maybe you had to sign, right, but commissioners did not know that permit and licensing was being audited. And it is a serious thing.
Well, it is a serious thing, but I knew it.
But as our manager, I expect to be told this. What auditor, please? But no, I have not talked to any auditor. I can tell you the only time I've talked to an auditor, when I first got elected, one asked to talk to me. It was probably a couple months after I was elected. That's the only time I've ever had an auditor call me.
Can I just make a suggestion? We did get the book with our financial audit, and in there is a tab, and I had Fred go over it with me to let me know.
And I am going to talk to
Okay,
him.
where
It's
we
just the
should
point
be
not
look-
knowing.
It was listed in there, and there's also something that says that a plan was provided. So I was going to meet with you to find out what this plan is and find out why we have a surplus in this money. Do we have to review our fees? And now that we do have the surplus of money, what we should do going forward. So I guess this is what's going to be discussed at the workshop? Yes?
Yeah, it wasn't me.
All right.
Yeah. I just want to piggyback on that because as far as just asking the city manager for anytime there's an audit, please. Because what I had an issue with a few years back was lawsuits. Every time we were getting lawsuits and I was hearing about lawsuits willy-nilly, I simply asked, could we, every time we have a lawsuit, could you send an email out to commissioners? And now if you notice, whenever we have a lawsuit, they shoot us a quick email. And so that's maybe something that we could do with the audits.
Actually, I wasn't aware that you had that comment. We do mention some lawsuits when they're large in scale through a separate email. But what we do more frequently is we have a quarterly litigation report that includes a listing of new lawsuits. Now, just to be clear, since I wasn't aware of what you were just saying, if you want us to send
It was
note-
before you.
Right. So if the commissioners do want us to send you a separate notice every time a new lawsuit's filed,
No.
we could do that
The
individually.
quarterly is fine.
Okay.
For me. I'm not speaking on anybody else, but for me.
Been adequate for me.
It's been adequate, yes. Okay. I am looking to partner with a local nonprofit to do some projects in Zone 5, particularly some painting and cleaning walls and getting some signage and maybe some flowers and plants at Cedar Highlands and Highlands off of Mason Avenue. They are two very, very, very old subdivisions that don't have HOAs or anything like that, and they could just use a little bit of TLC and some loving. And I'm looking to partner with a local nonprofit to help me maybe do some of those projects. Also, Neighborhood Watch. We had Neighborhood Watch on this last Monday, and we're trying hard to bring Neighborhood Watch back and get our membership back up so that the citizens will know what's going on in the zone. Last week, I want to thank Police Chief. He came out and just addressed some major concerns of some of the residents, and our city manager stepped in at last minute and came in, and he was on the hot seat and addressed some of the concerns. Next month, the second Monday in June is when we're going to have it. We normally have it the first Monday, but we're going to have it in the second Monday because of graduation. And Sheriff Chitwood is going to come and address some county issues because some county roads sit in Zone 5 that are county, and then let us know some things that are going on in the county, so you don't want to miss that. And we're actually going to feed you because if we feed you, we feel like you will come. So That will be at 7 o'clock on the second Monday in June. Also, I've had quite a few concerns and called about parked rigs on the side of the road and illegally parked equipment and machinery on the side of the road. I know we had talked to you and you had said something about what we could do about that, what kind of ordinances we could come up with. I know it's a touchy situation. You don't want to hear what I have to say? So I want to know, what are some things that we can do? I know you had talked about maybe putting boots or coming up. What are some things that we will be able to come up with? Because I'm noticing them more and more in Zone 5. They are now everywhere. People just don't feel like they have to find a safe place to store their rigs because no one is going to say anything. And now they're in driveways. You have 18-wheelers and...
So Mr. Feature asked our office to research it, and we are researching that issue now.
Okay.
Say it again. Multiple pictures have been sent, multiple emails have been sent for 6 years about specifically trailers being parked on Lincoln. Specific areas every single week. And I appreciate Commissioner Henry bringing it up, and so maybe now we'll get a little action behind it.
Well, one thing I'll do is I'll see what my predecessor's response was. I wasn't really aware of those emails. That may help us be more efficient in our own research.
Appreciate you bringing it up, because maybe some.
You're welcome. And those are all the comments I have for tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Reed?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I had an opportunity to attend the Law Enforcement Appreciation Program on behalf of the mayor, and I read a proclamation from the city. It was well attended. It was well served. It was nice to see our sheriff there, as well as our chief and the first responders, as well as they had social workers and also just others. It was just really nice. It was a beautiful program. I didn't attend last year, but I was able to attend this year. I was able to also attend the baseball park dedication at Derbyshire Complex. And those little bitty Tortuga little teams, they were just precious little bitty people, little T-ball folks, was there for that as well. Seafood, we had a recap on the seafood festival, Crab and Seafood Festival, and how could it be better, what really worked. And a question came up, and I'm just letting you know, the question came up about considering 2 days. I do know that that comes with additional costs, doubling of the expenses that 1 day has for the city. Increasing the cost of vendors is one means in which we thought about covering that if we do that, not saying that we voted to do it, and seeking sponsorships to offset the cost as well. And I also shared with our partner, Ms. Presley, that we have never asked her to divulge her budget on what her income or her expenses are, but we reveal ours throughout the process of planning the program. And so I think we need to be more transparent if we go to 2 days on who's paying for what and how much each thing costs. But I just want you to know that that was something that came out of that meeting. Also, on this past Monday, we had an excellent neighborhood watch meeting. George Burton was there, and he's our representative for Race and Rec, and he also provided us a handout of how those funds have been spent. And we as a city have really, really capitalized on some of those funds. It's really nice. You don't think so? Oh, okay. You're just like, yeah. And I looked at the list. I brought a copy to the manager during my, Jim's still here, during my private meeting. And just looking at it and seeing Daytona Beach represented, our parks, our facilities, and what have you. He's done an excellent job in representing us and bringing those funds back to Daytona. This weekend is the Midtown Music Concert, Saturday the 18th at 7 p.m. at the Daisy Stocking Park. And the band is Then to Now. So come on out and check them out on Saturday night. We're going to have part 2 of Peace, police engagement, and let me get my notes. Peace, police, education, and community engagement part 2. And it's entitled Straight Talk with Chief Jakari Young. It's for children ages 11 and up. It's an opportunity for them to listen to Chief Young to understand the responsibilities of his role, as well as a tour of the jail if there's no one in the cell, he said. And just having discussions. And I wanted to share with you also that I purchased these. This is a partnership between the Daytona Beach chapter of the Lynx, the police department, Commissioner Paula R. Reed, and this is called the Safety Pouch. It was designed by a young man, an African-American young man by the name of David Price, when his parents had a conversation in regards to if you're stopped by the police, what you should do. And so at 16 years old, he came up with this idea. This pouch hangs on your windshield. You put your driver's license here. So the police, when they walk up, you don't have to move your hands. No one can say that you went for anything. Everything is right there. It also unzips, and they can have their insurance card inside. All right. It also can hang up on their sun visor until they actually are stopped and needed. So we're going to be giving these away as door prizes. Piece 2 will take place on Sunday at 3 p.m. in the community room of the police department. Straight Talk with Chief Jakari Young.
How much do those cost?
It was about between 25 and 19, somewhere up in there. We're going to give 10 away this time and 15 away on the one in the fall. The one in the fall is going to be a conversation that if you are stopped by the police. And then the next piece, the last piece, is a 4-piece series, is going to be careers in law enforcement, that you could be a part of the solution.
The mayor's literacy initiative, we buy 25 of those.
Okay.
So you can give away more of them.
All right, thank you.
Because that's education.
Yes, sir, it is.
And that's
I'd appreciate
critical
that.
education.
Thank you.
Okay.
The safety pouch.
25 of them, the mayor's literacy.
Okay. Commissioner Henry says she'll purchase some as well.
Yeah.
She didn't say her now, but she will. She'll tell you. She just told me I got it.
That's sort of critical.
She said 20.
And we teach kids how to.
Yes, sir.
How to
Yes.
be informed.
And it's unfortunate, but we have to. It's the world in which we live in, regardless of whether we're the police or somebody else that stopped them that thought that they were going for
You
something.
got some other colors other than that?
No, that's it.
That's the reason
that's
for
why
the
they
bright
want it.
out.
Yeah, that's the reason for
It's
the bright.
for purpose.
I'm a little more subtle than that, but I understand.
Pass it to him so he can see it on the windshield and everything. And then tonight, I'm going to pass. Would you pass that as well? And ladies, here's one for you.
I'm sorry, which?
Everybody, including yourself. You know, college is a very defining line. It's when you leave home under the shelter of your parents and you go to an institution of higher learning to become the man or the woman that you've been called to be. And oftentimes when young people leave for college, some may not come home the way they left. Either they come home more educated, professional young people that their parents can be proud of, and sometimes things happen, and I know several folks who have encountered things while they were at college. But here in Daytona Beach, being a college town, although we may not always recognize that we are, but we are, we have young people that come here all the time. And the experience for them is something that we want them to remember. I'm asking you all to join me tonight. You see my contribution to the football team of Bethune-Cookman. These young people come here, and regardless of what may be happening with the administration or with the faculty or the staff, these young people deserve an opportunity to have an excellent education. And in saying that, you know, we've supported our youth locally who are in high school. These young people come from other high schools in other cities. The football team is on ESPN, which gives us a national presence. Our seal is in the middle of that field that they play on, so that you know. If you don't know you're in Daytona Beach, then something's wrong when you see that seal in the middle of the field. I'm asking you to help me to be supportive of them this evening, of these athletes. You know, our new coach, Coach Woody, he knew the situation before he came here. And you all know the situation. It was all in the news on them almost hiring another coach, and then we had some situation. You forgot? Because you're kind of looking like,
Okay, yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did, actually.
Okay. Well, good. We'll forget. But having said that, Coach Woody is a graduate of Bethune-Cookman College. He was an athlete. He was a student athlete himself, having earned an award. I think the first page tells you that he was a GET academic all-star. And based on his academics, the university received $25,000 in his name because of being a scholar athlete. He came to us from an institution that we couldn't even begin to pay him because what he's making as a head coach is less than what he made as an assistant coach at that university. But they need our assistance. And this evening I donated $25,000 to assist him in helping these young people to become student athletes and to carry on the tradition that Mary McLeod Bethune has said for them. And I want to ask you all to consider joining me in helping them meet the goals that he set for them. It's a very beautiful family. He's moved here, a beautiful wife and 2 sons and a daughter. In fact, it's ironic. I was at Japanese cuisine, having Japanese cuisine on Mother's Day, and I saw a lady walk in. Then I saw a young lady, then a young man, and then I saw a man, and I said, he kind of walks like Coach Woody. And then I asked my cousin, I said, did you see 2 boys and a girl? He said, no, there was only 1 boy. I said, so maybe that's not him. But then a young man came with roses. That was the eldest son, who has transferred here in graduate school to play for his father. That was the eldest son. So I texted his wife and I said, did you decide you wanted Japanese cuisine for your Mother's Day dinner? And she said, yes, how do you know? And she's looking around the restaurant. Well, we didn't eat in the hibachi side because there was a line, but we ate in the dining side. And I went over and I gave my how do you do's and met the youngest child because I'd met the other 2. But I think that if we were to invest in these student athletes, it would just be something that we can be proud of. I think that it's a more holistic approach to adding to this major university that's in our community. And I'm going to start out with a bid on what I'm going to ask you to consider, which is simply $5,000. If 5 of you, without the mayor yet, were to give $5,000, that would take me to 50. My goal is 100. So after tonight, I am going to try to help, as an alum, establish a capital campaign to help them with the initiatives that he set forth in educating and supporting these young men. As you can see, the pictures are great. I think they've been showing them on the screen on how he's come. He's come prepared. And Mayor, I'm sure he's going to ask you to say something to them, not only as a professional man, but as having been a coach, to remind them of who they are and whose they are. And that coming here is an opportunity for them to be somebody. Because anybody could have been standing on a corner washing cars. They could have been standing at McDonald's or Burger King taking an order. Yet they've chosen to come to this school in our city. And I want them to leave having the same type of experience that I had, that you all had when you went to school. You all can think about how enjoyable it was, your experiences that you had while you were college students, the friends that you made. My best friend is still my best friend today, and I've known her for 40 years. Her daughter is my godchild. So those experiences nobody can take from you. And those are the types of experiences I want these young people to have. So won't you think about it? I said I was going to get biblical on you and say, I beseech you, my brothers and my sisters, to please consider that. And Mr. Mayor, I'll take whatever you give me, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. But think about it, please. Think about it, and let's help them.
What is because these are the athletes, they have a scholarship. So I guess I'm asking, what's his plan?
Well, they don't all, you know what, they don't have funds over the summer. Their scholarship is only for the fall and the spring, and everybody doesn't have a full scholarship. So if they're trying to take summer classes, they are not covered. Their dorm is not covered, their food, they are on their own.
Okay.
Totally independent. And that's unfortunate that the funds are not there to cover that.
Well, let me give some thought to it, because I may be able to use some of my mayor's education initiative funds, which is different for me than the ARPA.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the consideration.
And I will.
And you all, I thank you for considering, whether you do it or not, thank you for even thinking about it. And if you do it, I welcome your funds and your support. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comments for the evening.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say that I went to a luncheon today, and a woman I met at the luncheon was involved in an emergency call, and she just wanted to commend one of the officers on how professional and how courteous she was in the whole situation. And it was such a nice feeling to hear that someone had a good experience with one of our police officers, and that police officer is Valerie Pittman. So I just want to say thank you, Valerie. Another thing I just wanted to bring up, Florida Tennis Center is having an open house on Saturday, May 18th from 9:30 to 12:30, so I hope you guys could make it. They're going to have junior beginner clinics and adult drills, and it also will be like a complimentary day pass, so you could see all the improvements that they made. So I'll be there playing tennis, so I hope everyone will join. Then there's also going to be public input meetings for our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The first one is going to be on Tuesday, June 11th at the Peninsula Club at 6 p.m., Wednesday, June 13th at the Dickerson Community Center at 6 p.m., and then Saturday, June 22nd at the Cherry Cultural and Educational Center at 10 a.m. So if you're interested in seeing different recreational facilities, please come and give your input. And last thing is Volusia County still has their Transform 386, and this is in regards to if you're looking for any housing repairs or reimbursement for repairs that you received from Ian, which is hard to believe is almost 2 years ago. You could go online at transform386.org, and that's all I have. Thank you.
I just wanted to add, Commissioner Paris, Redevelopment in a program or a group that Commissioner Reed is working with. They're going to be setting up sites to help people with the Transform 386. I know I've read some emails from Mr. Thomas in the group. I don't know which group it is, Ms. Reed, but we're going to be working at our facilities to help share that information.
And also the library has social workers too, so you could call them and see what time they're there to help you with the application.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Do you know?
Do I know?
About Volusia League of Cities?
Yes, I know. I know that I'm going there. On
Okay.
the end of the month, or when is it?
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, is it? Next Friday, when is it? Next?
It's next Thursday.
Jesus, something else next Thursday. Yeah.
We got to be there. You all need to start coming to the Volusia League of Cities dinners. We have staff that are going to be recognized, and I need you there.
Thank you. We'll be there.
Okay. I hope it's not too late. Would you check that, Mr. City Manager?
It might be too late. I have a seat. I think I have 2 seats. You can be on my seat. My wife isn't probably coming.
What day is it?
Next Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
I just had board meeting on Tuesday, so say my name.
I actually have one more thing, really quick. One of my board members on the economic board, I guess they had a presentation this morning. Lou Perez from Volusia County Economic Development did a report, and I guess the county just launched a countywide zoning map feature, and it's floridabusiness.org website, and you can go there, any property in Volusia County, you can, I guess, type it in, and we'll tell you what it's zoned for.
Okay. That it? All right, I gotta find something here. Need to. What's going on? Go see stuff. Okay. Earlier this week, I believe it might have been yesterday, I sent you all some correspondence from a young lady who is the media specialist at Mainland High School. And it was that she was reaching out because Mainland High School needs something for our Daytona Beach community. Mainland High School is undergoing a book challenge, and they are looking for 2 to 3 more community members to read the book that are not Volusia County school employees. Other schools have recommended that their mayor read the book, but I am a Volusia County school employee, so I cannot participate in the book challenge. What it means by book challenge means that the book is being challenged according to state statute, that you can challenge a book, and then the committee, I guess, makes a recommendation as to whether the book is not suitable for a school for the shelves. So I was wondering if any of you might be interested in, Commissioner Henry would be not allowed to do it either. If any of you might be willing to sit on the board to read this book in the next couple of weeks and attend the meeting to offer your input, whether we should keep it as a Daytona Beach school or not. I think it's sort of critical that we engage in this because we represent, you know, the constituents. And so I just think if we don't have anyone in here that on the commission that may want to do it, then even a resident who lives in here, I think is suitable also, because I think, yes, ma'am.
I have a question. When do they meet? When did?
Well, I have no
So
clue.
that information is
That
not there.
information is not
Yeah, I would be interested in that, and
Okay.
depending on the scheduling, a resident second, but I would be interested in that.
Okay, I will give you and give, can you share your cell phone with me? I don't think I have it. So just give it to me and then I'll share it with Josie and she can reach out to you in relationship to that. And I also think if someone else who comes to the meetings is interested and who lives in here, because I think you have a different feel for what it means to live in Daytona Beach that is relevant, and you would be a relevant voice. So if another individual is interested, let me know and I will pass your name along. I just think it's important that someone from here, sort of, not necessarily City Hall, have a voice because we see our city in a different way than other people might see it. And see our youth and see our future in a different way. I believe for me that will conclude my correspondence for tonight, with the exception of the fact that during the last meeting, we had a lot of discussion. And I've been up here now almost 15 years between commission and mayor. And it seems as though, I just want to be honest, that each time that we get into political season, that we sort of become I don't know how quite to describe it, but something that's alternative to what we have been prior to political season. And I know that competition and politics can bring out sentiments, feelings that, you know, we are entitled to have, but they don't always put us in the best light. And I've been up here. I've had folks up here, and I've been in this seat and been venomously attacked. And that's okay to a limit, but I want us to remember that I've not yet known anyone who used the commission meeting, whether it be the candidate or folks who might support a particular candidate, to be very successful in that approach. I've not yet known anyone to succeed that way in elevating themselves or their candidate to the dais. And so I simply say that as a person who's been here, and just like everybody else has a right, you know, as a mayor, I think I have the right to say, I don't think it's a successful prescription for campaigning. And not only is it not usually successful, it's just not community healthy. But be that as it may, I'm a big proponent of the First Amendment, and I do believe that the 3 minutes that you are assigned for this time, they, for the most part, do belong to you. But I'm not going to tolerate attacks, verbal attacks on commissioners. Just try to make it so that you speak your piece, say what you have to say, and then sit down and make it try to make it about the business of the city. And that's, I said I would say something about that, and if I say something, I have to say something again, I'm not going to hesitate, but I'm also not going to hesitate to make sure that we maintain an appropriate and suitable decorum. With that being said, Mr. Manager.
Yes, just have a couple of items. Just want to let everyone know that our triage program to help businesses thrive in our community, we're taking applications to start this program on June 1st. So businesses that are trying to scale up or improve, please go onto our website and click on the link for the triage program so you can get some assistance. Secondly, if you look into the update, you'll see more improvements to our playgrounds and our parks and things of that nature. We'll be getting with commissioners to talk about different areas within their zone for playgrounds, improvements, parks and rec, because there are some things on the list that David Waller and his team will be getting in, especially in areas where we don't have locations. We've been doing some research and trying to find locations. We'll be bringing that forward. So as Commissioner Cantu talked about earlier, sent out in the email, wanted to look at 2 dates in June for potential options for workshop meetings, not only to discuss the P&L funds, but also get your priorities from a strategic planning process of what's your top priorities going into the fiscal year as been done in the past. The 2 dates that we were looking at is a Tuesday and a Wednesday, June the 11th or June 26th at 6 p.m. In the afternoon and evening, 6 p.m. We'll send the dates out to see which one is the most appropriate for you all. But there will be it's a Tuesday night, and the Wednesday night is the opposite Wednesday of the City Commission meeting. And if you have dates that you want to offer to us, we may send out a Survey Monkey that can give you more dates so we can figure out how many individuals. But those are just 2 dates we put on the calendar. But we'll send out a Survey Monkey tomorrow also with additional dates so you all can rank them, and we'll send those back. So you can select if these dates don't work for you. And so it'll be an email, and we'll make sure to follow up so we can definitely get it scheduled. Hopefully by Friday we can put it on our websites or make sure we announce it.
Now, the 11th is not the Juneteenth, is it?
No, that's the 18th.
That's the 18th. Okay, I'm good with the 11th or the 26th at this particular moment in time. 11th, 26th for me. 11th only for you. Okay. So I just can tell you that. So while I can tell you now, and all right.
And I'll send it out to you tomorrow and follow up with a phone call.
Okay.
Will that give you enough time to give me the information before the workshop?
It's going to be enough time to give it to everyone.
Okay, I know you keep saying everyone, but I personally requested this 3 times now.
Okay. All right.
Is this a workshop on?
It's a workshop.
Also for the permit and licensing?
Yes.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
That concludes, okay. Sir?
Nothing.
Nothing? All right, at this time, we will be happy to hear from the residents of the city of Daytona Beach.
Our first speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Ted Herdecki.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. A couple of things. One, years ago we did a ordinance on scooters, those are mobile scooters. They're all over the beach side all over again. What happened to the ordinance? George came before you. There were problems with it. I thought we solved it, and now they're blocking roadways, they're blocking sidewalks, the whole 9 yards. Secondly, golf carts. Our businesses are now parking their golf carts, the U-Haul, anything they want to advertise in public parking spaces, and we're told there's nothing that can be done. So if you have a business and you want to acquire property that the city owns, we allow them to do so, and I think they should not be able to do that. I'd like you to move public comments like the other county and the other cities before commission comments. That way, if the public says something, that you all can comment about it, rather than wait a week for or whatever. Third, beachside beautification. I would ask you to have someone come from the HAV board or ZBB and tell you the value of tourism to Daytona Beach. It is $1 billion a year. It's 38,000 employees, and we're not maintaining the beachside. It is an asset that we're losing. Riverfront land. Several years ago, we wanted to acquire the lease into fee simple that we would own the riverfront land. I don't know where we are with that. It is to our advantage to have control over that land because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I would ask you to look at it again, acquiring that land regardless of what it costs. I talked to David about the lighting on Main Street. Several years ago, it was like $800 to amp up the lighting on Main Street itself, and the one street light north and south, because it's very dark on Main Street at night. And lastly, with regard to Ken, he's not here. I was out of the room when a gentleman came up and tore him a new name. I have a great respect for Ken. I think he's very active in the community. There are several commissioners that are extremely active in the community. But as we perceive you, you all perceive us differently, all right? There are people that, one gentleman made a comment that he would wish that I would show up at a city commission meeting before I make a comment because he's never seen me at a city commission meeting, all right? So there are people, when they look at things, and I look at you guys, you all think that you're, I'm sorry, Stacy, you think you're nice, but you come across as like you were attacking the Mr. Fiacher. All right, it may not have been your intent, but that's the way it came across.
Our next speaker is Ted Hordecki, and on deck is George St. Pierre.
Key 113 Braddock Avenue. Couple new thoughts I had, like last year somebody talked me into going down to Seabreeze at night, which I usually don't do. And when I went into the parking lot for the one restaurant bar, I was a little leery because there was no lighting for their parking lot, and it's the Oyster Pub. And I was like, I mean, a lot of dark in between cars and all that. And I was just wondering, maybe, I don't know if the city has a policy that you go walking around. I'm sure the police tell people when there's dark spots, or if there's something you have to cut down, you know, so people aren't lurking. I just wondering what the lighting is for the building owners to keep up their lots behind their buildings, so on and so forth. The second thing is, with the rain, my street was redone, and I have some flooding issues, which I think I'm going to take care of. But I was thinking, before the storms come, is there any way maybe people could go and get sandbags before the storm? So before the storm comes, all the lines go into the sandbag place. There's other things to do. Just a thought, because I needed bags the other day, because now the new street, the water's going different directions around my property. I got a sandbag, this and that. So it's just a thought I had. And the last one is, Daytona Police Department called came to our meeting, Beachside Neighborhood Watch, and asked on May 25th, the Daytona Police Department's going to have 150 police officers down in Breakers Park. So they asked if we could cook for them during the event because they can't get out. So I'd like to take this opportunity to ask the commissioners. We're going to be feeding from 12:30 to 5. And we usually get 120 police officers somewhere in there, but he said maybe more. So I'd like to invite you guys to come down and hang out with the police. They're going to take over the whole park. They park the command van there, all the cars, and it's usually a good time. But I know the people that work for B&W and Our Lady of Lords that come out and cook, they'd like to see, and I know the police, on a 3-day weekend, a lot of them, I don't think there's going to be a lot of days off. You know, I'd like to see you guys come down, and I know a lot of commissioners support us when we cook, and you've been down, but come down and have a cheeseburger. You know, and talk to the officers, because they're going to be putting in some long hours on Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
Our next speaker is George St. Pierre, and on deck is John Navarra.
Hi, I'm George St. Pierre, 1022 Main Street, Jungle Georges. First of all, Ben, the easiest solution in my head, and I'm not a lawyer, is that if the FCC doesn't allow you to do it, the school system won't allow you to read it in your schools, and you can't play it on the news, and you can't play it on regular radio, then why is our tourists being subjected to have this thrown in their face? Everybody agrees that this is stupid, right? I mean, I don't... but it's a very simple way to do it. That if, put it on the federal government. Put that in there. Hey, the federal government doesn't allow it, so we don't want it on our streets. Very simple. The pigeon thing, thank you very much. I hope it does something. She put the pigeon sign out don't feed the wildlife, and it didn't do a darn thing. Okay? Hopefully there is some sort of fine that comes with this. I would be greatly appreciated. That would get them to stop doing it. As far as those scooters, very simple. Okay? I don't come up here with just a problem. I come up here with an answer. Those scooters are GPS located to the pinpoint within 4 inches. You could take those scooters and slow them down, if they're on the sidewalk, to 5 miles an hour. Guess what? People won't get hit by those scooters. Okay, they want to run them in the road and risk their life? Great. It's your life. But in front of my store, and I wish somebody would come down and just visit the area, and you'll see the filth that I'm talking about, the vulgar music coming out of the 2 corner stores on Ocean Avenue, and it's, I call code. Code comes down at 9 o'clock in the morning. They don't get their radio on. At about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it gets loud, and it gets louder from that point on. Okay, so it's not like I haven't called code and put code complaints in. I'm hoping I'm giving you guys some suggestions on how to deal with this. I don't believe in just telling people, look, we got a problem, you guys figure it out. I've got some suggestions. My phone number is on that sheet. If not, call me at work. I'll be glad to have any discussion you want. Thank you.
While you're there, could you just address something so I have it on the record? So for years, you and I have been going forth with a particular incident, and the issue is the golf cart incident. Could you just explain to the commission what happens with the golf carts that come down there and then taking tourists out of the area? Could you please tell them?
They're timeshare people. I don't know. They call them vacation ownership people. They can call them whatever they want. But they come down and they park in front of my store. And any customers that are coming down there, now they got the city of Ormond Beach on the side of their things. Okay, they grab people and they say they got city licenses, which they don't, because the city doesn't give you a license. It's for the beach. The county gives you a license to do it down there on the beach. They grab people. They're constantly down there grabbing people, taking them out of the area to go take things. They don't pay any money to the city. They're taking my business away, and I'm giving you guys money. And seriously, I will do whatever you guys want. Install cameras for you to watch. I don't care. Whatever it is, just tell me.
Now, prior to Mr. Gross being the city attorney, based on our conversations, I brought them up in the meetings as well. Nothing. So it just reached a point where we would communicate. I'd communicate with Mr. George and say, hey, I'm doing what you're requesting. I'm sending it forward. I'm having the meetings. But I was informed that there's nothing. So there are multiple times, thank you, sir, specifically dealing with you, specifically, which it's great. I think what you're doing is wonderful.
Thank you.
Bringing things forward and then nothing. So I'm intrigued to see if there's something we can maybe do about that.
Thank you. I will never come before you guys unless there's actually an issue. And I appreciate your time.
Our next speaker is John Navarro, and on deck is Kim Reedley.
John Navarra, 168 Springwood Drive, Daytona Beach. On January 1st, 2025, Volusia County is going to have a major challenge and a major opportunity. I reread this bill several times today to be prepared for this meeting, and I would appreciate if you would read this bill, it's not that long, and fact check any information that I give you to make sure that I'm completely accurate. It is House Bill 1365, and it becomes law on January 21st, 2025, which is pretty soon. It is a law that will affect the city because the bill makes it basically a crime for people to live on public property. And what cities would be able to do is they would be able to set up camps or basically facilities for the homeless in case the existing facilities is exceeded. And I'm very concerned that with the increase in the cost of housing and rents in Daytona Beach and the situation with our existing incomes, that the homeless situation will increase in our community. And one thing that I did learn reading about the bill very closely is that the only way one of these facilities could be opened is that if the Volusia County Council has a majority vote that they decide that one of these facilities would be created in the community. And so I think that what we have to consider is what is in the best interests of course, the residents, of course, the businesses, and of course, the families who could, without anything they could prevent, become homeless. And I think it's a big law that's a step in a direction. I don't think this cures everything, but I think it's something that the city commission and the city manager, the mayor, Mr. Mayor, that you could look at this law, that it will become the law in 2025, and it is something that the city will have a change in what they can do. And residents or business owners, specifically stated in the bill, can sue a city or a municipality, unless I got my facts wrong, if a homeless situation is in front of their business or their residents. And I think we need a solution that is best for the residents, the businesses, and the people of the community. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kim Friedley, and on deck is Helena Cochran.
Hi, my name's Cecilia Kim Friedel. I live at 2640 Yale Road in South Daytona. And I am here this evening because I had an item previously, 9G, which I thank you all for approving. But because I am here, I want to take this opportunity to present a concern that I have regarding high school students in Daytona Beach. I just learned earlier this week that a longstanding program that provides services for homeless students in Volusia County will likely be canceled at the end of this school year. The program is referred to by the acronym of PETALS, which is persons experiencing transition or loss of shelter. I work at RMA, Richard Milburn Academy, which is the high school that provides education for students who are not going to be able to succeed in their zoned public schools. And I have seen the impact of this program on our students there. Currently, there are right about 700 high school students in Daytona Beach who are eligible to receive services from this program. So I don't even know if the city commissioners and the mayor and the city manager is the appropriate body, but since I just learned about this very likely cancellation the beginning of this week, and I was here for another item, I just want to take this opportunity to bring this to your attention, and I will follow up to find out if you're the appropriate body. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for working at RMA. Good place. Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Our next speaker is Helena Cochran, and on deck is Larry McDermott.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Helena Cochran, Volusia Tigers. How are you guys? Wanted to come here this evening to say thank you and just give you a little bit of our progress. This year is going super strong, and I ran out of time last time, so I gotta be fast. Okay, so currently we have 163 registrations between football and cheerleading. Our 10U and 12U is completely full, and they are moving on to a waiting list. Our 6U, 8U, 14U is booming. Our field has 300 yards of dirt ready to get laid out. And thank you guys so much for your support. Commissioner Paula, you were able to buy 4 helmets this week. Thank you so much. We started from the bottom. Now we're here. And literally, it's self-made. Everything is coming from pockets and community. Mayor Henry, you were able to pay for 10 children to play football this year. So thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. We need all the support in the community we could possibly get. As Commissioner Paula says, the high schools get tons of support. The colleges get tons of support, but the 4-year-olds, where it starts, they're going to be in the NFL one day, I promise you. The Volusia Tigers are going to send many children to the NFL in Daytona Beach, and we need as much help as we can get because we don't get that help. We don't. As a little small organization, I own a lawn care company. I have boys, tons of them. Please, let's talk. We will get out on any corner. We will do anything for the city. We got you. Valerie Pittman says she loves you. Thank you. Great shout out. Anything that our team, kids can do for the community, we are not looking for handouts. We will do it. We've stood on the corner 6 times to date, 6 car washes. Everything we are working hard for, and we are teaching our kids that you have to work hard, and you are not just going to be a leader by playing football. You're going to be a leader by being a leader, doing good in school, showing up to commissioner meetings. This is great. I love this for our community. More kids, more. I have junior coaches. I'm going to get them to come. They need to be in this atmosphere and see what you guys are doing for our community. But the Volusia Tigers want to be involved. And I have kids, and I have parents, and we need y'all just as much as these kids need us. And we are going to change the future of Daytona Beach. We do have a homeless place right next to us, and we actually, the coach officer came out and tried to get them removed from right next to the Salvation Army, and he was there the next day coaching. So we're making moves, and we would love for you guys to be a part of it. But thank you again. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, you didn't get a check from me?
I didn't. I got no.
It would have been a while ago, like when you first came. No?
No, ma'am. I got 500 and 2,000.
The first time you came when you introduced. Okay, all right.
I will double check.
Okay.
And make sure. But I'll double check and I'll get with you. Thank you. If you did, every single dollar that has came in has gone straight to helmets. So we appreciate it.
Okay.
And I will check on that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Larry McDermott, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
Thank you.
Larry McDermott, 1016 Bel Air Drive. Thank you, Ken, for bringing up what we discussed last night. We were at the Neighborhood Watch meeting at the Bay Shore, and the people that are in Zone 2 are very concerned and have been concerned over the last years about the crime in East Seabreeze. It's, we've done some positive things. We've got the substation operational, and that's helped a lot, especially in that one last incident. I understand that the police were right there, and it kept him from only hurting 4 people instead of maybe many more. And so those are great things. We got the hookah place shut down. That was great, okay? We've got no noise ordinances done. These are all good things. But for an hour last night and many hours before at other meetings, people have discussed this situation. And it's very serious. And I understand, according to, and Ken discussed it last night, that we only represent 13% of the voting people in that district. Well, that's what he said. So that's what he said. And that in order to do anything, he has to have a second on his motion, and we have to have 4 votes to 3, correct? Okay? And so it's going to take time, and we understand that. And I think tonight, perhaps getting Mr. Gross to do that research and to start working on a fix on what you call the overlay district and what I call mainly a safety district or in that area, and trying to carve out a part of that so that the citizens of Daytona Beach don't bear the expense, that the expense is borne by the club owners and the business owners that are causing the problem. And that is, that's key. And to having, quote unquote, private security provided by those owners that are actually off-duty cops, sheriffs, Marine Patrol, any deputized official police organization. Those are important because those are the people who can actually enact and enforce laws. Other things, such as operation of the substation, should be included in that district. Lighting should be included in that district. So those types of things are what you need to look for, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is Ann Ruby.
Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. First, I want to talk to you about parks. I've been very active in the parks meetings. I happen to live in a zone that has no parks. I fought for nearly 2.5 years side by side with Randy Gray, who unfortunately is no longer with us, to try and secure the beach, the river access at Bridgeport Heights. I've been waiting for over a year to try and get that place fixed up, to get a fence on the north side, and to get a bench installed. I'd also like to have the city consider naming the park after Randy Gray. He and I spent a lot of hours to re-secure the public land. So I would appreciate the commission's support on that. Again, Zone 1 has no parks. I've been bringing this up in the parks meeting, and I'm not exactly sure about how the mechanics work. I never hear a Parks Advisory Board report to the commissions. So I don't know if you're getting any of this information. I know it's all public, the minutes are all there. There is some citizen involvement. I'd like to see more, of course, but I never hear any feedback of what the city commission is actually going to do based on the recommendations. I really would like to see a park in Zone 1. That means a lot to us in Zone 1, and we'd really like to see it soon. 2010, I had brought up numerous times. I know, Mr. Mayor, we talked about it when we were visiting Bridgeport. Where else could we do parks? It's city property. It's 1.7 acres of land on the river. It's basically abandoned right now, and it's an eyesore to the community because the city's not doing anything with it. I'd like to see that be made into a park. I brought that up numerous times. It doesn't seem to get anywhere with the city commission. My second item, of course, is flooding. If you've read the recent report that was put out by one of the TV stations in Orlando, by the end of this century, the one we're in right now, there will be anywhere from 3 to 6 feet of sea rise. And it could exceed that based on what's happening in Antarctica. This is serious stuff. This is no longer stuff we can just forget about. The city needs to be proactive. You know, I'm talking 75 years, you're gonna have 3 more feet of water, and you got seawalls that can't handle any of that right now, and then let's add a storm on top of that. What are we looking at? So we gotta get serious with that subject. Midtown already has bared the brunt of this. This is no longer what it was 100 years ago. It's exponentially getting worse. You just approved another 30,000 bump overage for the repairs on the docks. We have no timeline. When is that going to get done? That's an integral part. It's been over 2 years now. So please, I'd like to see a timeline there. Limited to 3. Got plenty more things to ask you. Thank you. Oh, and Mr. Mayor, quick question. I sent you a personal invite. Have you had a chance to review that?
I did review it.
And?
It's a strong consideration and should be probable.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That, by the way, for the record, is for the climate mayors.
Yes.
And Daytona is
believe in
ground zero for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ann Ruby, and on deck is Jenny Nazak.
I've been to a conference that they had, by the way.
Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. I would just like to encourage, rather than just saying undergrounding, the wires on A1A is too expensive, maybe we could just get a rough idea of that. As I recall, I would think I was given a number, but.
We did.
You did, and how much is it? How much was it?
We don't know. We told him to bring it back.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Then I'm done.
Okay.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Our next speaker is Jenny Nazak, and on deck is Sean. Is it Sika?
Good evening, everybody. Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey. Some overdue thank yous from a meeting a few meetings ago for when you all voted against the developer who was going to try to take down some large oak trees. I actually think that's a very desirable apartment project, and I'm very much in favor of it, but I so appreciate you preserving the oak trees. And I reached out to the developer and suggested that they kind of redesign their project and try for a building height variance, so they could build some of the buildings a little higher, or maybe remove some of the parking spaces, apply for a variance about that. So they'd be keeping the trees like they're supposed to, but they still get to build the apartment project, which is at a desirable location, and it's near a lot of stores and stuff. So I don't know. Nobody necessarily said anything, but it never hurts to put a good idea out into the world. Reaching out to random strangers, it's what I do. But anyway, banquet. What the heck? What? I don't understand my writing sometimes, even when I type it. Banquet hall. Okay, so somebody at a previous meeting a few meetings ago was saying the city doesn't have a banquet hall, so we should build one. That could be expensive, but we have kind of a de facto banquet hall, which is the Hard Rock Hotel. Like, we're starting to have all these banquets at the Hard Rock Hotel, and the city doesn't even have to build a building. Isn't that convenient? It's almost like a city facility. New city hall. Well, maybe we should reuse and recycle. Maybe we should renovate, get some upholstery. We could get some really cool funky Daytona upholstery, or I don't know. We could get really creative. We could put like a rooftop garden. We could do rainwater collection. We could do some cool stuff. We could even have a water slide or something. Like get that rainwater, utilize it. But recycle the building, because building buildings is expensive. It's expensive. Okay, what else? Oh, I love the presentation from the Conlin Center. That was just amazing. And of course, as a person into ecosystems, I was noticing the beautiful gardens and the lake. And I don't know if they're listening, but I'll reach out to them. They could be eligible for some grants for what they've done, like some conservation, green infrastructure. Just what they're doing is having a beneficial impact in terms of green infrastructure. And for certainly their horticultural classes, they might be able to get some more grants or something. So Yeah, lots of good stuff going on. Everybody have a nice evening. Thanks for being up there. It's not easy, I know.
Thank you.
Jenny, please reach out to them. It's a beautiful garden.
It really is.
It's been neglected. Yes, it is. It has such great potential.
You might
Hi.
be able to help them.
Our next speaker is Sean, what was the last name? Skia. And on deck is Emily Nice.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Sean Skian, 932 North Peninsula Drive, Daytona Beach. Longtime resident, 51 years, and so I think that predates a lot of the people here. So, what I wanted to thank Ken for coming to the meeting last night, and there was a lot of discussion around the lighting issues that are in and around and already been discussed this evening. Some of the photos from Seabreeze, the adjoining streets, where we have a lot of darkness, where additional lighting, additional video, and security measures would be greatly facilitate, the mobile station that's right there now with the police, and ultimately, the crime that's area. One of the numbers that Ken mentioned last night, 13% is in the Seabreeze district, but an interesting component of that is that there is over 70 incidents of crime that have taken place in and around that neighborhood as well. And along with that, you've had 2 shootings on Seabreeze over the last year. What does that do for the community as a whole now that Florida is ranked as #1 state in the country and Seabreeze, Daytona Beach, is making a significant contribution to that number as a #1 state in the country? So, the big hotels are on the beach, the big businesses that are on the street. Everyone has got to try to work together to try to bring a little bit of lighting, a little bit of additional security that helps with the police. It helps with overall the community. I have seen such significant change over the 50 years since my parents first came to Daytona Beach, and what has taken place on Seabreeze, which used to be a family kind of street. And now, I'd hesitate to say, one of the previous speakers mentioned going out and going to the Oyster Pub and wondering if he should be there. And I think that each of you you've heard plenty of this, it's in the newspaper. A week ago, May 1st, it was on the newspaper, and needless to say, it's a significant factor that everyone should be paying attention to. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, when you were giving your statistics, you said Florida was #1 and Daytona was adding #1 in what? You never said.
Daytona ranks up very high in the state as to the level of crime. I don't know the exact statistic for that, but, last week, the newspaper, May 1st, it was Florida is the #1 state in the country for crime.
Yeah, Florida.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Our final speaker tonight is Emily Nice.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Pleasure to be here. I just wanted to let you know that there are copies being passed around here of the dark side streets in Seabreeze. Ted was brave enough to go down. The Seabreeze neighborhood is a fabulous neighborhood with so many caring neighbors who really enjoy the company of each other. There has been great camaraderie throughout the years. However, Seabreeze at night has made the news many times, and as recently as last year when we had the first mass shooting over there, of 4 people. Here I have a list of 7 different news media stories, whether it be the News Journal or the local channels, of things that were going to be done. And several times in those interviews, the lighting project was mentioned as between $2.5 to $3 million. We would like to know, as Seabreeze residents, what exactly is the status of that? Because I personally haven't heard anything. I want to thank the Daytona Beach Police Department for getting with our fabulous Public Works Department, because on the interim, while waiting for whatever master plan that was, there has been a temporary program of, say, $25,000 or so to increase the wattage in the bulbs and then put some of those extra bulbs in the neighborhood. I would just like to encourage you all to prioritize the lighting in Seabreeze. It's very definitely one of the ways that crime can be reduced. And it's not just about Seabreeze residents at all. We care about the young people who are going down to Seabreeze on the weekend nights. Their lives are just as important to their families as all of ours, I'm sure. And many of them are very young, possibly right out of high school. So as someone with some years behind her, they're still kids and they deserve protection. And we would like to see that not only for them, but for the business owners, for the employees, for the tourists, for the investors, for the residents, of course. I think everyone can benefit, and we look forward to whatever progress you have on lighting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. We have any comments for the good of the order?
These stats are accurate at a place called crimemapping.com. Let's assume they are. What's disturbing is the fact that many of these assaults, simple assaults, are taking place broad daylight, right? They're happening 10:30 in the morning, 11:30 in the morning. Evening times, I would think, more people at night, nightclubs, weekends, but this is a running list like throughout the week. But daytime is the part that's the most disturbing. Just that
But again, how accurate, I'm not sure how accurate the facts are, but let's discuss this with
Okay. All right. Okay.
Excuse me,
Yes.
could you define simple assault? Like, is this simple assault?
Yeah.
I really need to know. It's a lot of them on here, and so there is,
Let me get back with you on that. I've got to look it up.
we're all asking. Thank you.
Yeah, he's looking up simple assault. I'm gonna give a clear legal definition. Nah.
You don't know, right?
Well, we know we're gonna go with the legal
Huh?
scholar.
You're not familiar with simple assault?
No.
So it's an intentional unlawful threat by word or act to do violence to a person, coupled with an apparent ability to do so, and some act that creates a well-founded fear in such person that it's imminent. And generally that's what a simple assault is. It's a misdemeanor of the second degree.
Yeah, it's not a hard.
Actually, when you add what you just did, that's battery. So yeah.
All right, well, simple assault is get out of here. I'm gonna use my gavel. Good night.